The Kentucky Derby is one of the most prestigious and anticipated events in the world of horse racing. Known for its glamorous atmosphere, elite guests, and thoroughbreds racing for glory, the Derby often represents the pinnacle of both athleticism and tradition. However, the 2023 edition of this historic race will be remembered for an entirely different reason: the tragic deaths of 12 horses leading up to and following the event. In a sequence of heart-wrenching events, the deaths of these horses cast a long shadow over the race, sparking investigations, debates over safety, and calls for reform in the horse racing industry. The 2023 Kentucky Derby not only broke hearts, but raised alarm bells about the treatment of horses in the sport, the conditions at Churchill Downs, and the broader conversation about the safety of equine athletes. As the excitement and anticipation for the 2023 Kentucky Derby built throughout the week, so too did the grim news of horse deaths at Churchill Downs. Leading up to the race, 7 horses tragically lost their lives, including 2 on Derby Day itself. These deaths included horses that had been beloved by their connections and fans, and they left a dark stain on the otherwise vibrant atmosphere surrounding the event.
Has died while training at Churchill Downs. It is the first horse to die at Churchill this year, just 9 days before the Derby.
And the exercise rider was taken to the hospital for a possible shoulder injury. Our cameras were there as the horse was euthanized. Wave News reporter David Mattingly was at the track when this happened.
The first death came early in the week, on the Tuesday before Derby weekend, when Wild on Ice, a promising 3-year-old gelding, suffered an injury during training. Wild on Ice had been ranked 15th in points for the Derby and had won 3 out of 5 of his races, making his loss all the more heartbreaking for connections and fans alike. Just a day later, Take Charge Brianna, a 3-year-old filly, was euthanized after sustaining injuries during a turf race. As the days unfolded, the news got worse. Code of Kings, another 3-year-old gelding, broke his neck in a saddling paddock, leading to his euthanization on April 29th. On Derby Day, Chloe's Dream was taken off the track in an ambulance after an awkward step during the second race. Later, it was confirmed that Chloe's Dream had sustained a leg injury and was euthanized as well. Another horse, Freezing Point, was euthanized after pulling up injured during the Pat Day Mile, a precursor to the Derby. Then on Derby Day itself, 2 more horses died on the track: Parents Pride and Chasing Artie. These 2 horses collapsed and died during their respective races, though the cause of death was not immediately determined. The deaths of these horses raised further questions about track conditions at Churchill Downs and whether the safety protocols in place were enough to prevent such tragedies. In the wake of these deaths, Churchill Downs launched an immediate investigation to understand what had happened. The Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority, HISA, which had been established to oversee safety protocols in horse racing, joined in to investigate the string of fatalities. But despite extensive inquiries, the investigation did not find any obvious or specific pattern behind the deaths. Churchill Downs took steps to assure the public that the track surfaces were closely monitored, with industry experts evaluating the track conditions regularly. The organization also pointed out that all horses participating in the races had undergone comprehensive veterinary exams before being cleared to compete. However, questions persisted. What was going wrong at Churchill Downs? Despite no immediate cause being found for Parents Pride and Chasing Artie's deaths, speculation grew. Their trainer, Safi Joseph Jr., was suspended indefinitely by Churchill Downs following the deaths of the 2 horses under his care. Joseph voiced his frustration over the lack of answers, stating, "When you don't know something, that's when it worries you the most." In total, after the Kentucky Derby, 5 more horses died within the following month, leading to further investigation into the safety measures in place at the track. The cumulative toll of 12 horse deaths during the span of a few weeks was unprecedented, and it quickly became clear that more needed to be done to ensure the safety and well-being of these animals. The events surrounding the 2023 Kentucky Derby sparked significant backlash from animal rights groups and horse racing critics. Groups like Horse Racing Wrongs, which tracks horse deaths in the sport, pointed to the deaths at Churchill Downs as yet another example of the inherent dangers of the racing industry. Patrick Batuello, founder of Horse Racing Wrongs, noted that while the string of deaths was unusual, it wasn't entirely unexpected. Death itself is not unusual.
Timothy Finley is the founder of the Justice and Freedom Coalition, just one of several groups who came out in numbers to protest ahead of the race.
And we want police change. We want police accountability. We want the police defunded.
There were counter-protesters there too.
He remarked. Over the last few years, several racetracks had seen similar clusters of fatalities, but the public outcry had been especially loud following the highly visible deaths at Churchill Downs. Animal rights activists used the incident to call for an overhaul of the horse racing industry, citing the pressures placed on horses, the use of medications to enhance performance, and the general risk involved in the sport. The horses who participate in the Kentucky Derby are often bred for speed, with little regard for their long-term health and well-being. Thoroughbreds are young, only 2 or 3 years old when they race, and they are pushed to their physical limits at an age when their bodies are still developing. This, many experts argue, contributes to the frequency of injuries and deaths in the sport. In response to the tragedy, both Churchill Downs and HESA made public commitments to improving safety measures in future races. Churchill Downs announced a new set of safety protocols for the 2024 Kentucky Derby, including upgraded equipment to evaluate track cushioning, the establishment of a new safety management committee, and the implementation of biometric sensors for all horses racing at the event. These sensors would allow for the detection of early signs of injury or stress in horses, potentially preventing further fatalities in the future. Additionally, the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority began taking a more active role in reviewing track conditions, horse veterinary records, and training logs in an effort to prevent future accidents. The Kentucky Horse Racing Commission also pledged to enhance its oversight and ensure that horses are receiving proper care and training to minimize the risks they face. While the 2023 Kentucky Derby was a particularly tragic chapter in the history of the sport, it is not an isolated incident. The number of horse deaths at racetracks across the United States remains a point of contention. According to the Equine Injury Database, over 300 horses died at American racetracks in 2022, with many more suffering from injuries that required euthanasia. This is a regular occurrence in the sport, despite the ongoing efforts of racing organizations to reduce the number of fatalities. The fact that the 2023 Kentucky Derby deaths received national attention, however, might serve as a turning point for the industry. Public outcry following the deaths of the horses at Churchill Downs, particularly the unexplained deaths of Parents Pride and Chasing Artie, sparked a national conversation about the ethical implications of horse racing and whether it can continue in its current form. The 2023 Kentucky Derby debacle has highlighted the urgency of reform in the horse racing industry. For years, critics have warned that the sport is inherently dangerous for horses, with thoroughbreds bred for speed, but often facing devastating physical consequences as a result. The push for stronger regulations, better track maintenance, and more stringent veterinary care is stronger than ever. Whether these changes will be enough to save the lives of countless horses in the future remains to be seen. The 12 deaths surrounding the 2023 Kentucky Derby have left a permanent scar on the race's legacy, and the sport will have to reckon with the hard truths about animal welfare moving forward. As the industry takes steps to prevent future tragedies, the questions of ethics and responsibility remain at the forefront of the debate. How much more can be done to ensure that horses are protected, and can horse racing continue without sacrificing the well-being of its animal athletes? The events of 2023 have shown that the Kentucky Derby, like many other parts of the horse racing world, has a long way to go before it can claim to be as safe as it is spectacular. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content from us.